Welcome, friends, to episode 325 of Color of Magic, your Magic Gaming podcast, where we talk about all types of issues that affect gamers at and away from their gaming tables and computers. I am your host, PowrDragn, apparently rocking some sniffles today, so I apologize, but still got my main man hanging out with me again this week. Brian Sonic, how's it going, dude?
Yeah, we're both we're both flimmy today. It's that time of year.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. It's just like, and I don't have allergies or anything, so maybe I got a little something from somebody, but we are still here to do the show and put it on for everybody. So, yeah, this was interesting because this is more of a chill week overall, but we found some very fun stories, some feel good stories, some interesting stories to talk about this week with everybody across gaming. So, this should be a fun week. However, we do have to do some quick bit of business and ask you if you'd be so kind, go over to Patreon, support the show. Just drop a little bit over there to help us out. It's patreon.com/color of magic. That simple. You can also get a shout out just like Casey Reynolds, who I believe is from Australia, because I just realized Casey's payment is in Australian dollars. So if so, thank you from the land down under. I don't think I've brought it up in a while, but some of my first followers when I started doing content were actually Australians and Kiwis. So I have some love for the people on the other side of the earth.
And have you had a bite of a Vegemite sandwich, sir?
I have indeed, and it did not go well. It wasn't a sandwich. It was Vegemite on a cracker because I was told that's how you're supposed to eat it.
It does for people first experiencing Vegemite.
Yeah, and I also tried Marmite because that's like the European equivalent. Also, not great.
It's definitely an acquired taste.
Yeah, I think like a lot of things, right? If you're fed it as you're younger, whatever, it's just part of your diet. You don't really think about it. I'd love to give it like
I grew up eating potted meat, and my wife was like, "What? Why? Who hurt you?"
See, that doesn't bother me. Like those and the little Vienna sausages that came in a little can or whatever. Like, yeah,
same quality of meat.
Yeah, Spam. It don't matter. But other places don't like. Now, I will say, I could see lots of uses for using Marmite and Vegemite in cooking, but just eating it on a thing, not for me. But yeah, also, Vegemite aside, but maybe you are on different parts of the world, but you're looking for magic cards. We have a sponsor that can help you out with that. It's Manapool. You can go to manapool.com/promo/color of magic. Why? Because they will give you $5 to buy whatever you want magic wise on their site. Like literally, it takes you like 30 seconds to a minute. You sign up. When you check your account, they give you points on there that you can just cash in that are $5 off anything you want. So it's the easiest thing in the world. And we still have, I think, like 14 slots left or whatever on our account. Well, I am assuming, hopefully, if we fill those up, they will give us some more. But at least right now, there's a few left. So go get one, sign up, get a free $5. Save yourself some money on the next card you want to buy. It's that simple.
Do it.
Yeah. Manapool.com/promo/color of magic.
Don't let your dreams be memes.
Yeah, exactly. I think you got to do it right. Don't let your memes be dreams. But
yeah, there you go.
If your dreams are memes, those are probably some hilarious memes, though. So yeah, here's a fun story we kind of want to start with because I was looking around and I found this story, which is funny. I think came across my radar. I first thought, oh, Brian would appreciate this because this is from Lafayette. Actually, it's from the other Lafayette in Indiana, not Louisiana. So
get those guys. Just kidding, folks in Indiana.
Hey, I'm a big fan. I like Indy in Indianapolis in Indiana.
Yeah, exactly.
The rest of the state, but Indy's cool.
Love, college basketball, definitely.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Our house.
But yeah, I bring this up because there's a gentleman in the title that caught my eye says "Turning Struggle into Hope: Local Veteran Builds National Impact Through Tabletop Gaming." So I'm like, all right, that sounds like something that's right up our alley. But this guy was a National Guard veteran, and it says he served a tour in Iraq from 99 to 06, so 7 years, quite a while to be there. And he says when he came home, fortunately, his group of soldiers all came back, all 100 of them. But he said the problem was over the next couple of years, they were losing them to various reasons because of the trauma, right? And we've seen that a lot.
That is not at all uncommon, unfortunately.
Yeah, I wish it wasn't. I wish for as much money we spend in our military in the U.S., a lot of that went to care for the soldiers, truthfully. But he said, he started seeing different guys going through stuff, and then he got diagnosed with some level of PTSD because he had different physical issues and some lesions in his brain from different things that happened. And he got through it because of support systems and money from different charities that helped soldiers, basically. And he's like, man, I just wanted to do this for other people, right? If I could help other dudes coming back because I know what they're going through, let me see if I can come up with something. So he started what sounds like a game convention, which he said the first one he was going to do, he thought was only going to draw like 20 or 30 people, and like 75 showed up. So he was like, all right, cool. Because he didn't really have a budget, didn't really promote it much or whatever. But he calls it Red, White, and Cliz. Now, I don't know what Cliz is, CLIZ. I tried to figure out what that was. I thought, did the writer mistype this? Maybe it's supposed to be clicks, like a hero clicks thing, but I couldn't find that to be true either. So I don't really know. If anybody knows, that'd be cool to let us know so I could understand, because it might be a military term I'm not familiar with. Like, but either way, he did it his first year, and they were able to raise $5,000. So he was super stoked, obviously, of just like, hey, just a one man show, put this thing together, and awesome, raise some money. So now people are behind him, and everybody from different regions is wanting to help and participate. So he's a little overwhelmed, it sounds like, but he says they have another one planned. It's going to also be in Lafayette again, and they're going to do it at the National Guard Armory, which is super sweet. November 15, 14, and 15, and it's going to be 9 to 9, so 12 hours each day. And I just wanted to share because I think this is just a cool story of how gaming is able to help people. Kind of how it was about a couple months ago, we talked about that story about how people are playing gaming, particularly Magic and stuff while they're incarcerated, right? And that's helping people. And I think this is another way of like, hey, this is bringing people together for a positive cause and supporting our veterans that aren't able to get support through the government. So,
And this is how it happens a lot of times. Somebody that is going through something personally, they reach out to, hey, probably other people are going through the same thing. Let me figure out what I can do to help, and then it just kind of grows from there.
yeah. And I think this can also be a lesson because I mean, I also ran a convention by myself back when I was in Waco, but that was also kind of like, hey, I think the community could really rally behind this and use this to be a thing and show people that no, folks locally do want to do these kind of things, just nobody ever hosts them. Right. And people thought I was crazy, but then I did it. And our first one got, I think it was like 1,100 people or something. And I was like, awesome. And then now I haven't even been there, in 10 years, but now there's nerd things that happen a couple times a year in the area. So sometimes if you're the first one to break the seal, you can kind of set the example and be the standard for everybody else, right? So, and even with this guy, right? He just well, like, hey, I'm going to do this thing. Hopefully, some people care enough to show up, and turns out a lot of people do, and they raise money, and now they're probably going to get what sounds like 4 or 5 times as much, and they're going to probably fill up the armory with nerds that want to just come support veterans.
I feel like any metropolitan area where you got, let's say, 70, 100,000 people, you're going to find a whole bunch of gamers out there if you kind of just put out the call, so to speak.
Yeah, that's it too. I think you bring up a good point. Is some of it's just you have to take the initiative, right? Don't ever assume that it can't happen. Sometimes it only hasn't happened because nobody's tried to make it happen, right? Even in my case, like hell, I'd even been in Waco at that point. I think running the business like 12 or 13 years at that point before I even tried to run a convention. And it was just like, why not? Let's just go for it and see what happens. And sure enough, it was great. It went off well. We ran a couple of them and everybody was excited. And I just shot for the moon. Just like, well, let me see if I can get a name artist there. And RK Post showed up. He was like, yeah, I'll absolutely sure. Hell, we even did a VIP dinner and he made, unbeknownst to me, a special print for everybody that was at the dinner or whatever. I was just like, all right, cool. Right? So if you rally the right people, you can really make some stuff happen. I mean, hell, he has no idea that 2 random black dudes from down south are, talking about his stuff on the show. But hell, some people who listen to us that live in the area will probably hunt this down now and go support his charity. So you never know how far it's going to reach, man. I still remember during the pandemic, I told the story about how I had that one post blow up Next thing I know, I'm getting mentions from like a newspaper in Ontario. There's a comedian talking about it on her podcast, right? Like you just don't know what's going to happen sometimes. So this is actually really cool to see, man. And I have a bunch
You're
of
meeting
friends and
people from Australia, eating Vegemite, it's just
that's
things
true.
take off.
That's true, right? We get listeners in Australia from just doing a project to inform people. But yeah, I was saying I do have a lot of friends and family that are military or ex-military. So it's really cool to see this type of support for people that are willing to put their lives on the line for people. And I think the other part is what people don't understand is, and this isn't just in the US, this is soldiers in general. They give up a lot of personal things to go serve their time, right? They're missing birthdays, holidays, anniversaries, separation anxiety from just family, sometimes missing their birth of their newborn or whatever, right? There's a lot they give up to go do that. So
Then
seeing
they may suffer, physical and mental damage out there. So it's so many things can happen.
yeah, very true. Very true. So it's really cool to see the gaming community support their community in the way that they are. So I hope this convention gets really big. I mean, a little tough in that region because they do have Gen Con and further down the road, you've got Origins or whatever in that region. But it would be cool to see another big convention pop, even if it's just mid-size to support the troops. I think that'd be really awesome. But we'll see what happens. It's at least a start. Everything's got to start somewhere. But yeah, man, I have a pretty interesting thing for the soapbox this week. And this is kind of a fun soapbox for me because I don't really have anything I'm going to complain about this week, unless maybe how people treat the particular people I'm about to give props to. And that's judges. And maybe to some extent referees for several leagues. unless unless you're MLB umpires apparently. Yeah, people hate them. But the thing for judging things, whether it's magic tournaments, different competitions, whatever, but we'll keep it in the realm of tabletop games. You're never going to be able to get 100% praise for doing your job correctly. And I don't think people understand that when you're judging or refereeing an event. Because usually you're called over because there's some type of dispute, right? Some incident within the competition has happened. One side feels it's one way, one side feels it's the other way. It's your job to put all the quick clues together and adjudicate in favor of one person. Even if you do it 100% correctly, one person's going to be like, "Thank you, I knew I was right." The other person's going to be like, "Whatever, you're trash."
Yeah,
Like
I hate you.
exactly, right? And no matter what, like you're setting yourself up to have a pretty much unforgiving, thankless job, right? Judges are in it for the love of the game. Like they have to be, right? To get in there, to make sure everything's run correctly, to be part of the competition, tournament, whatever, but not necessarily have to be a competitor, right? They can still be involved with it, but they're there for the experience, the fun, the growth of the game, whatever, not for really any self aggrandizing thing because they're not winning any of the money or whatever.
It's like the
Oh,
same with referees. The referee or umpires had a good day when you don't hear about them.
yeah, that's the
When
other
they
thing.
haven't been discussed, you're like, they probably got everything right. When you hear about them is when they blow the call, when it's egregious, when when they had to throw somebody out of the game. That's when you hear about them.
Yeah, and I think even on a gaming level, I think that could go doubly said for just the organizers and their staff, right? When you hear nothing, you're like, "Oh, that event was great. Everything was so smooth. Everything went fantastic, whatever." The minute there's one thing where I'm like, round 3 took so long to get started because their computer failure or whatever. How do they not have a backup? How about, whatever. It's always like the worst thing ever if there's any type of disruption in the proceedings for the event. But I was just thinking about that. It's just, and I
Like,
and I've been a
did you
judge,
see that Barbie festival they tried to have? I think last week or maybe 2 weeks ago
bro.
now, where
Like,
they call it Fire Festival 2.0 because apparently it was an absolute disaster.
Man, okay, let's detour for a second. Now, maybe we should put this in the soapbox. How do people? This feels like it happens almost once a year now, at least every other year. But somebody gets this idea that they're going to go run this convention and we're going to have all this stuff and we're going to sell all these tickets and we're going to rent these giant ballrooms or whatever. And then we get the equivalent of what was it, that kiddie pool with some balls in it or whatever. It's like, dude, how? How does this keep happening?
Especially with a license like Barbie. Barbie could not be any hotter right now because of the incredible movie that just happened not that long.
Bro, Mattel shared stuff about it on their like social media. Like, yeah, this
Right.
convention's going. Like, they were all in. You know, they were mad.
They just handed you what should have been a win.
And dude, it was embarrassing. I
Yeah.
saw like one part, the people walked up and it said like, "Oh, the life size Barbie dollhouse or whatever," and it was literally just like a painting on a wall with the facade. Like they didn't even bother building the dollhouse so you could stand in it.
Right.
Like, and I saw their board; they had like 16 sponsors or something. So it's like, what did you do
Somebody
with the
stole some
money?
money, probably.
Yeah, like they had these boards set up with like these screens with all these seats, like they were gonna have all these people show up to listen to the speakers, and there wasn't nobody in those seats, dog. Like it was honestly, if they would got a room about half the size, you could have at least made it look really busy and nice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you could have pulled it off, and people would have been like, "I wish it was bigger," whatever. The way it looked, it was just sparse. It was embarrassing. But again, I feel like we've seen this, like I said, almost every other year at a minimum.
They
There's
had Serena Williams there for a few minutes. So I guess they paid her at least.
God, her PR team was probably like, "Look, we're doing the minimum and we got to bounce.
Right.
Like, we don't
We'll
want to
do
show
it
up on people's,
contractually obligated, but good lord.
yeah, you don't want to be on social feeds related to that." But it's just amazing me how that stuff
Angel
happens.
Reese was there. It's like, oh my, how?
Oh, was she? I didn't know that. That's crazy.
So again, I guess they paid them their money. I don't know whoever's supposed to build the dream house. I guess did not get paid. That's all I can figure.
Yeah, it just looked bad. Even the entryway was just like these pink, like inflatable arches, like two of them. It wasn't even like you made a tunnel. It was just like two arches. Like it was just, everything about it was bad. And I've even come back to that before. When you're trying to run these events, one, you got to have enough staff to make it run right. Right. Comes back to having the judges and everything else to kind of
And
keep
they
things
said
flowing.
tickets went as high as apparently $600.
Dude, I'd have been mad if I paid even $30.
Right? They got over.
Oh, for real. For real. Whatever their lowest ticket was too high if it was over $10. Like just absolutely insane. But yeah, I just don't know. I don't know. Like and and I'm not going to throw another company under the bus, but if you know, you know. But there was a Magic convention they ran. I think it's 3 years ago now, maybe 4 years ago at this point, because it was just toward the end of the pandemic. And we had a conversation online. And they were like, "Hey, we're trying to invite a lot of creators. We want to do these things. We'd love for you to be a part of it." And I talked to him for probably about 45 minutes. And then I'm pretty sure I discussed another 10 or 15 minutes after that about like, "Hey, what about this thing? What about this thing? Have y'all thought about this?" And whatever. And everything was just like, "Oh, no, not yet." Or "No, we're working on it." Or "Yeah, we have a plan." Or both. I was like, "Yeah, y'all don't sound like you're ready."
Great.
Like I've run one of these on a smaller scale, less ambitious. And I know how long and how much effort that took. And even that, I had like guests there that were good at cosplayers to be my judges and help run some stuff. And I had other people helping run like the tabletop tournaments and whatever. Like there was a lot to manage. So I'm like, I don't think you really know what you're signing up for. And sure enough, when it happened, it was not good. And then they ran another year and they moved it to another city, another venue, which was a bad move because that city had less access to air travel easily. So then that was a problem. And it was just like, man, I don't know why people think running a convention is just going to be easy. It's not. Like, even when I
So
ran
people do
mine.
it well, probably make it look easy, and then oh yeah, sure, I can. Okay,
Yeah, but anybody who's volunteered on one of those knows behind the scenes. Like you take
exactly.
a Gen Con or a PAX or a Dragon Con, whatever, there are literally hundreds of people behind the scenes. because every area's got to have a different team of people. There's people under people that are being managed to help direct ticket sales and traffic and enforcers to make sure there's nothing happening on the floor and just all kinds of stuff, man. It is absolutely crazy. Even when I ran mine, people are like, well, why don't you do this? And why don't you that? I'm like, bro, this is our first one.
Right.
like chill for a second. Let me make sure we can even pull this off. Then we'll talk about what else we can do.
You're already juggling the plates. Why don't you juggle fire at the same time?
Yeah, basically. It's like, man, people have no idea. People just have no clue, man. So yeah, if you're gonna run anything big, do your research and take your time, right? Because the worst situation, kind of like what happened with this Barbie thing. Now that it's failed and you're all over socials, it's going to be hard for people to buy into another year
Right.
or buy into any other project that when they find out you're attached to it because you've now screwed up some of your social clout, right? Credits and debits. You've now withdrawn a lot of debits and there's nothing else in that account, right? That's just all there is to it. So you're better off doing a small one correctly and having people want a little more and building it up than promising the world and delivering a disaster.
That is the number one rule of show business: is always leave them wanting more.
Yep. Under promise, over deliver. That's what you should be trying to do. Doing it the other way just gets you in trouble. But yeah, let me coming back to my original point with judges. The next time you go to an event and whoever's officiating them or whatever, take the time to thank them. Just say like, "Hey, I appreciate you being here. I know it's going to be a long day and players suck. I just want to say thanks." Right? Y'all help keep the train going. Because sometimes that's enough. Like at least let them know they're seen and appreciated. Hell, even if they come over and make a ruling doesn't go in your favor, just give them like, man, that sucks, but hey, you're right. Thanks for coming over. At least now we know, right? You don't have to treat them terribly just because it didn't go your way. The 90% of the time, they're probably going to be right. Probably better than 90% of the time, right? They're trained on what they're doing. So just accept it, move on. Don't take it out on them. They're just doing their job. But all right, let's talk about some other fun stuff because it's time to talk about what we learned this week. And I found out something that was kind of surprising. And it's that I knew that Minecraft had sold a lot of games. And I was like, I bet you they've sold 200 million copies by now. Turns out I severely underestimated that number. It is over 300 million copies. And that's as of late 24. I have not seen the 25 numbers, so they probably, for all I know, they could be at 330 to 350 by now. But that's an insane amount of money. Like the fact that this game has been basically the same game for hell what, getting close to 20 years it feels like. And they made over $200 million in 24 alone. Oh, 100 million of that was on mobile. And it's like, man, the fact that they're still getting 20 million new people a year tells you how many people are still being introduced to their product this late in its lifespan with no, now there's been updates, but no new version of the game. Like you can still get on and dodge creepers and build stuff and do whatever, right? It's all the same stuff. That's crazy.
And of course, I'm sure the movie introduced it to a whole new generation of people that maybe hadn't played it before.
Oh, absolutely. Because that movie way overshot the mark.
Right.
But
you're like, I'm just here for the lava chicken.
I'll tell you what's crazy is when you compare it to the other top selling games of the year, right? You have game like all of our legacy games, right? The Battlefields, the Maddens, whatever.
Call of Duties, etc.
Yeah. They're happy to sell 8 million copies, right? That puts you in the top 5 sold games of the year until, I don't know, what GTA 6 eventually comes out and it'll sell like 25, 30 million copies probably. But the fact that they're selling as much or more than all the top 10 sellers every year is crazy work. Like it's wild to put in perspective of just how much that has to be maybe outside of some piece of software or something, whatever. I guess when they built Microsoft Word, right? It's probably like the best purchase of an outside company that Microsoft has ever made.
Oh, absolutely. And
Like,
there's
and
probably somebody at the table arguing again. I don't know. Shut up. Just shut up right now.
yeah, exactly. And not to mention, right? We have Minecraft Legos and action figures now and t-shirts and whatever. I've seen Minecraft on so much stuff. It is mind-blowing how popular that license has gotten. And I don't think people understand it. I think we see it and go like, "Oh yeah, it's a popular game." Like, no, it's way more popular than you think. Now, a lot
Yeah,
of
to be
that.
in the top 20 what 15 years after it came out is just like you said, just mind-boggling.
Oh, sure. And I think the reason a lot of people don't realize how popular it is because it's still largely a younger generation that plays a lot. Not to say that there aren't older players, because some people have grown up with it at this point.
Yeah, because I mean, if you search now on YouTube or anything, you'll see, somebody's gone there and they've built the Death Star or they've built Helm's Deep and it's lore, like, just, just
Oh, dude,
wild things.
there was a project, and it's still ongoing, that they started during the pandemic of trying to rebuild Earth, if I'm not mistaken. So people have gotten together with like their cities and have built up like New York, Houston, LA, whatever, with like
Man,
map accurate. So you could eventually have everything that you could go explore in Minecraft, which is ridiculous that you could even do that. Like it's a crazy piece of software. Like, and I don't actively play it. Obviously, I've spent maybe like a couple of days early on messing with it to see what the hype was all about. But yeah, I would have never thought it would have lasted this long to this level of
my
popularity.
kids don't play it probably as much as they used to when they were younger, but so every now and again they'll still jump on, buy a thing, build a thing.
Yeah, I mean, and that's all it has to be, right? Just be around long enough. Because once your player base is that big, if even 2 or 3% of them come back to buy something for an update or some cool piece they want in the game or whatever, or the spin-offs of it, and they want to try those, right? Like everybody's making mods for it. Like there's all kinds of
Of
stuff.
course, we were all, front and center when the movie came out and will be when the next one comes out, I'm sure.
Yeah, very likely. So yeah, just wanted to put that out there. I thought it was just really cool just to see like we don't talk about it as such, but we need to put some respect on Minecraft's name. Right? Like it's a legacy product at this point, right up there with everybody else. But all right, you got a little fun, something fun to talk about with Marvel Rivals. Wrong one. What'd I do that for? Why'd I go back to that thing? Why did that sound drop?
That's
We
how
don't need that.
people are really talking about this. There's a lot of soapboxing about it. But everything we're hearing from the Marvel Rivals, I guess, news creators and leakers is that in basically season 8 of Marvel Rivals, which we're estimating sometime around May 14th, 15th, we are going to be getting Cyclops, leader or one of the leaders of the X-Men. There are so many different X-Men teams, but definitely somebody that's, famous for being a leader of the X-Men. And of course, very popular character. We've been knowing at some point he was coming. Sounds like it's now. People are very excited about this. And as we were talking about on the pre-show, is there a better power fantasy, for superpowers? I just shoot laser beams out of my eyes. I just take my glasses off and I obliterate everything in front of me. What's more fun than that? That is going to be so just people love the character. People also love his powers. That's going to be just, I'm sure there'll be some kind of ricochet blast that bounces off of people. It's going to be epic. We can't wait.
Man, that has me thinking of there's so many characters that we could classify as like real low A tier or high B tier that are at least familiar enough that people would be excited about. And there's probably like 30 to 40 characters in that range.
Easily.
They could just put one of those out every couple months and keep drawing a new wave of people in. Like within 5 years, like imagine the selection screen you're going to have of characters you can play in that game.
Yeah, because when they released Deadpool, I think Deadpool got them their highest player count since launch because, of course, people love Deadpool.
Oh, yeah. No doubt. Like eventually you're going to have like all of the X-Men Gold team in there.
Right.
Right? And those are all characters people know.
We're waiting for the voice interactions because, as you know, as X-Men fans know, Cyclops has history with Jean Grey. He's got at this point almost as much history with Emma Frost. Those interactions are going to be because at some point you'll have all three of them in the room at the same time you're ready for the battle. That's going to be epic,
Hell, you might have Wolverine talking trash about him.
right?
Like, who knows what they're going to put in there?
Because X-Men, more than anything, is a glorified soap opera in which they occasionally fight supervillains and Sentinels and
Oh
things.
yeah, oh yeah. Like, and honestly, what about the whole crew of like Marvel Knights? Right, there's a bunch there you could go with that would be popular to draw people in. So I mean, they have a lot. This is what we talked about when that game launched. Is they have the largest like gallery of characters to use. So, like where every other game kind of has to come up with something new and you have to develop it and come up with sketches and powers and whatever, like they just literally have to pick what they need to fill in that month. Just like, oh, well, we need somebody that's a little faster, or we need somebody that has more guns, or we need somebody. Okay, cool. And then go pick from like 20 characters and then just get to
At
work
this
on it,
point,
you know?
how many people are there just with spider powers?
Oh, yeah. Like that.
It's just Spider-Man, especially after we've done the whole, with we'll soon have 3 Into the Spider-Verse movies. It's gonna be so yeah. We'll have Spidey, Spider-Man 2099, Miles Morales, Gwen Stacy, Silk. Oh my,
To
yeah,
be fair, 2099 has a sweet suit, though.
yeah. And of course, a huge fan following because he had a great role in that movie.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I think that's what gives Marvel Rivals such an edge. Assuming all the behind the scenes business stays right and the licensing and the percentages and the companies play nice, whatever. But that aside, as far as just game development, that is a huge benefit that other companies don't have. Is just not only do you get to just draw from this library to build your next update, you also know the history on how popular they are, how they've responded in other games or whatever, to even know
I was
what
gonna say
to
that's the other thing.
expect,
It's like
you
there
know?
are so many. I've lost count of how many Marvel games there are right now that are still pop. Almost every genre has some kind of Marvel game. You got like Marvel Snap in card games. You got Marvel Future Fight as an action RPG. There are so many.
And I will guarantee you Marvel has data from all of those.
Right? They know who plays which ones. Like I just got a press release talking about, hey, we're doing. I think this is Future Fight doing a campaign where they're going to share assets with Marvel Rivals. That's going to be huge.
Oh, I bet you they even know, like, by region or by country or whatever, what
Right.
characters are more popular. So,
Yeah,
if
it's
there's
I didn't realize it, but it's the 11th anniversary of Marvel Future Fight, and I remember when that came out. So yeah,
wow, I didn't realize it was that old. If you'd have asked me, I'd have said, like, 8 years or something.
right.
Wow,
Marvel
that's
Contest of
crazy.
Champions, which is a fighter. Again, they have something in just about every genre right now, and that one is Future Fight has now surpassed 170 million downloads.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, just Marvel as a license. Like, I told people when Rivals hit, I was just like, "Man, this is probably gonna be the pace setter." And if they assuming nothing changes and they just keep making fun updates and fun characters and just getting a bigger and bigger gallery, it's going to be hard to keep up with them if you're not already secure in the space.
And the pressure they put on Overwatch made Overwatch actively better. Overwatch ended up doing so many things that they promised us they were going to do, but when they had no competition, realized they didn't even really have to do.
Yeah.
There was nobody else in the hero shooter space that was doing as much as Overwatch. And then Marvel Rivals came out. Hey, wait, would you like some more modes? Sure, we would. Some more characters? PVE? You like it? Yeah, we're going to do that now because now we have to.
Yeah, and we've seen that so many times, right? Where when there's not competition in a space, a company can take its time and milk any update any moment of time as long as they want because they don't have to put anything else in. They don't have to update. They can wait till they see that first real wane in numbers and then be like, okay, well, how about we give you that thing you've been asking for 9 months, or whatever it is.
For the case of Overwatch, literally, I think about 10 years
Well,
of
yeah, that's true. There's some stuff people were asking for a
we're
long
going
ass
to do
time.
PVE, we swear.
So yeah, I think this has been good for a lot of people. And I don't really play, first person shooters really much anymore. But if I were, it's probably gonna be Marvel Rivals. Like, just being real about it. Like, But all right, man. Let's talk about a few different topics to start winding things down. So, lots of people have been looking for ways to teach people how to play Magic because there's been interest with Universes Beyond and whatever. Well, good news is there's new welcome decks soon to arrive, and those are going to launch with, I was about to say the wrong set, Secrets of Strixhaven. So,
It's hard to keep up, really.
yeah, exactly. So whenever those come out, you'll be able to go to your local store, pick up a demo deck, teach somebody how to play. Usually those are also going to be available at conventions or whatnot. So I'd imagine with the time frame, Magic Con in next month, we'll probably have some of them there as well. Wouldn't be surprised if some of those are giveaways in some of the bags or whatnot as well. But yeah, you can definitely expect to see those out and about in public. Usually nothing crazy expensive in there. They're just good beginner decks. Like, the blue decks might just have some stuff with flying as the one keyword in there. Or the green ones might have like one or two creatures with trample or whatever, just to kind of teach you this is what this color does.
Yep,
You know,
elves, looking elves, Palaka Worm, the usual thrashing Bronodon.
exactly.
We got to stomp on your head now.
Yeah, real basic stuff, nothing too crazy, but just cool that they're still doing it. I can tell you from having been there that that is a large cost budget item every year because that's a thing they're printing strictly to give away with the hopes that you're generating some future sales in Magic players, right? It's a very large marketing expense, but they still dedicate to it, and I think it has a lot of benefits. So it's cool to see that they're doing. Because not, I don't even know of any other game that does that. There's stuff you can print off online, but not many places. Just like, hey, we're going to send you a box of 30 decks or whatever it is, and you can reorder them as needed. Because I know even when we're running our conventions, it's like, hey, can we get another 3-4 boxes because we're going to have a demo station set up? And they're like, yeah, sure. So they do a lot of that. So cool to see that still continuing.
Like we've talked about, your game needs to go a while, so hey, what are the decks that we should use to teach other people the game? Some games, sadly, don't last long to where they figure out what's the best way to teach the game.
That's true. And honestly, just to longevity, like, is it even worth it for you to spend it? Right? We've said before, many games don't last more than 3 to 5 years.
And some games know when that second set comes out, this is the cash grab to get the last bit of money because we're pretty sure we're dead after this.
Oh yeah, and I would say even with licensed games, you can tell they're even if it's a 3-year license or 4-year license, they can already tell when things are starting to fall off. So usually in that like 2.5 to around that range, 2.5 years, you'll start seeing like, okay, well, let's just go nuts here because we know this isn't going to last and we're not going to re up the license.
Right.
So there's a reason, a lot of reasons other games aren't able to do it. Something else to talk about, I guess, since I mentioned MagicCon Vegas, MagicCon Festival in a Box. They do those with the major conventions. You can go on to the Secret Lair site, order one. Comes with like a box of cards, mystery boosters, some promos, some other cool things usually attached with it, depending on what each set is or each convention is. But the way things have been going on Secret Lair, man, I don't even know.
Yeah.
Like the last ones have sold out fairly quickly. I don't know if they've hopefully they produced a lot more this time, but I don't know. I'd like to have one, but I didn't even try to get one of the last 2 or 3 at least because I just knew like I'm probably not getting. And sure enough, when I checked, they were already sold out. So may the odds be ever in your favor if you want one. I mean, I don't really have much else to tell people. It's more just, hey, I believe it's going to be on Monday, on Tuesday. Let me double check because I want to tell people like, hey, if you want a chance, at least go for it. I guess I give you the right time, but I think it's going to be typical time. Whatever your time zone is, like uh Pacific time to hop on and grab one. But yeah, this says, oh no, that's for the last one. I was like, I need the 2026. Because I was like, wait a minute. I was like, looking, I've seen this one before. Because the one thing about this one that surprised me is if I remember right, it didn't show some of the stuff. But this one, we actually have pictures. It's got 5 promos, actually 5 promos, and then it shows a bunch of just reprint cards that are in Mystery Booster 2. It's got a cool, looks like some type of storage box that's with it. April 13th. So that would be Monday. I was right. All right. So April 13th, 8 a.m. Pacific time. Good luck. And now,
Right. That's where we are with Secret Lair. Just good luck.
yeah, I will say, if I remember right, a few of them were available in the MagicCon shop on site. If you, I mean, you could wait in line or whatever, and you still may not get one. But if you're going to be there and you miss out, there may be another opportunity to at least try to snag one if you really want one. Other card game stuff. Riftbound. I'm hearing good things that set two is actually printed enough that we're starting to see it in a few more stores. The price is starting to come down because for a while you were having trouble finding Riftbound boxes for under $200. I saw 200 to 250 or 220 to 250 in a lot of places. But now I'm hearing they're down to 140 to 160 in a lot of spots. So it looks like set two is at least reasonably available and the price is coming down. And I'm hearing that I believe it's on May 8th, they're going to launch set three. And set three has some reprints from set one. So if you've had trouble getting set one boosters at an affordable price or even just
And you
finding them
more than
anywhere,
likely you probably have, unless you were just able to grab them early some kind of way.
that is true. You'll be able to pick these up this set and next set. And it sounds like you should be able to get set three at close to regular retail or whatever if you shop around. So if you've waited around and you still want to try Riftbound, but the price has been tough or it's been hard to find cards, we might finally be reaching a spot where the cards are going to be readily available and you should be able to build the decks you want to build. But we'll see. Yeah, so we like talking about crossover products because everybody likes to flip out about Universes Beyond. But I guess it's become a thing for us now to just show like a lot of games are still doing it these days, and it's not just Magic. Well, this time, The Boys, if you watch that show, which has been very popular, they're apparently crossing over with Call of Duty Mobile, which is not one I would have guessed, but they don't really feel like the same genre, but why not, man? Like,
Well, I mean, once Call of Duty put Nicki Minaj in, I think pretty much all bets are off. Now, one thing they did say is that for the actual main, Call of Duty Black Ops 7, they were going to not do ridiculous characters and crossovers because they got a lot of heat from Battlefield, who ended up becoming the best selling game of 2025. That's where they said they weren't. This is a realistic military shooter. We're not doing that. Like we talked about, pressure from another game in your genre. So they committed like, we're not going to have crazy skins in the main Call of Duty game, but I guess for mobile, nobody cares. I guess so.
yeah, that's
Mobile
fair.
is getting some characters from the boys.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how popular it is. I mean, obviously, some money exchange hands between the two companies, and we'll see. Call of Duty Mobile still fairly popular, still makes them a bunch of money. So they thought enough of it that this will probably boost their numbers in some way. So it'll be interesting to kind of keep an eye on that and see how the community responds to it.
They had WWE characters in there for Halloween. So again, it looks like the Call of Duty mobile crew doesn't care as much about all the weird skins. It just become a huge point of emphasis for the main game. To the point where Battlefield literally had advertising making fun of all the celebrities that are in the Call of Duty.
Yeah, and I will say it's not completely unheard of for first person shooters to do anything like this because if I remember right, we had the WWE had the New Day, in one of the shooter games, right? And they even came out with gear on for one of the
Right.
pay-per-views. So I mean, we've done stuff like this before and it didn't harm anything. So hopefully this will be good for both communities. And then kind of back on card games here, there was a new record broken for the highest grossing card game on Kickstarter. It now goes to Cyberpunk 20 actually I was going to say 2077, but that's not it. It's just Cyberpunk TCG as they've labeled it. And seems to still be climbing. They have 8 days left to go and they're at almost 17 million or 18 million almost. So this is one where it's a little interesting because I haven't heard of a lot of action going toward retailers. And that's usually kind of one of those things that if you don't have a lot of local stores helping you build up customers regularly, it's a rough sign for the game to kind of keep itself around. But this is a very large license. This is a huge number of backers because I think it has 27,000 already. It'd be interesting to see how this one ends up. I mean, we just had another one that had previously raised $6 million on Kickstarter a couple years ago, and they just announced after 2 sets they're basically gone, right? So, man, I would love for this to succeed. I know nothing really about the gameplay or whatever. I haven't had a chance to check that out. I will say the design, the artwork, whatever, it looks very cool. The packaging is eye catching because they kept with that very stark cyberpunk yellow, which has done a good job. So they've checked the right boxes to make the game appealing. I just have to see what the
And Gwent
gameplay.
was able to go for what feels like about 7 or 8 years. So
Yeah, I think. Oh, that's also a digital product compared to a physical product. They're trying with Cyberpunk, trying to make actual starter decks and everything else. So we'll see how it goes. I'm. This is one I feel like I'm kind of pulling for a little bit because I think the genre is different enough and the style is different that it could be very cool. But also, like I said, I'm just now going through their Kickstarter stuff, and I don't know if I really see anything that's like geared toward like retailers get this kit, get this learn to play, get these play mats, whatever to help you promote the game. So I'm not really sure, what their plan is. I'm sure they have something. I just haven't heard it through the retail channels of anybody really discussing it other than like, hey, this looks really cool. I'm a Cyberpunk fan. I'd love to carry it in my store. But their concern is like, okay, are all the people that are super interested going to have already gotten everything through the Kickstarter, right? Like, and they don't have any way to promote it in their store, or are the people that got their Kickstarter stuff going to get it first, and then you're waiting around for a couple months for stuff to show up? So, still some questions to be answered. But hey, when this is all said and done, they're probably going to be well over 18 million. That's a lot of runway. You know what I mean? When you're startup, I don't say startup, but a smaller company, you have a new project, you're trying to give yourself as many chances to be able to make mistakes and not go under. I would assume on 18 million, their profit's going to be because obviously like Kickstarter gets a portion, you got to pay shipping, you got to have your production of the actual items, but probably close to half might actually be profit. So I wouldn't be surprised if they walk away with 7 to 8 million, and that gives them a lot of room to work with that a lot of smaller card companies don't really have. So I hopefully they can do some good stuff with that and be a player in the market. We'll see. But all right, dude, I think that wraps us up for this week. Why don't you everybody where they can find you when you're not doing the show?
all right, you can see me on YouTube at Age of Wagers. I'm currently at a streak of 8 on MLB Beat the Streak. Only 50 more, and I'm a millionaire.
Still sounds insane to me, dude.
Right.
But you can follow me at PowrDragn, PowrDragn. And if you're going to be in Vegas, come by and say hi. I'll have a meet and greet, I believe, on Sunday. But also on Saturday, I'm going to be doing demos of Mark Rosewater's Redacted game. We don't even know what it is yet. I haven't even seen it yet, but at some point, I'm going to learn the game and do demos while we're there. So come check it out. But as always, wherever you are watching or listening, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Please remember to take care of yourselves and your family. Remember, be awesome. And most importantly, with all the idiocy in the world, be awesome to each other.